The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
I am the face that runs the place.
You need Roman to be out of the main title picture for a little while. You give him a break. This is the only way you're possibly going to get the crowd to do anything but boo him, is give him a break.
I'm the greatest wrestler in the world.
It was exciting to see because it kind of reminded me of Reading Rainbow a little bit.
All he needed was LeVar Burton to come in there.
This would have definitely got a 5-star pay-per-view for me.
Show of the year.
Yeah, show of the year.
How you doing?
I am here today because I showed all of my coworkers my Italian sausage. Well, it wasn't my fault. It was my partner's fault. My partner locked me out of the locker room without my clothes. So it's on my partner, it's not on me.
Okay. How long have you and your partner been having marital difficulties?
No, my tag team partner, babe. I'm into chicks. You don't.
Okay, I can see we have a lot of work to do.
Get no respect.
Okay, let's just begin again with you.
My name is Jinder Mahal.
And how do you spell that?
S-A-W-F-T, Swift!
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Deezer.
Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling to the Max, episode 226, part 1. And today, we are going to get into a lot of different topics. We are going to start talking a little bit about Finn Balor. That's right. We are wondering when his return will be. Well, we have maybe a few little answers for you. Plus, we're going to get into some talk about some more ladies signed on to the WWE roster. Who are they? We'll tell you more later. We also have some news with TNA. You remember Total Nonstop Deletion last week? Well, we have the numbers. They are in. We know how many people actually tuned in. We'll get into that, along with Flow Sports adding another independent wrestling promotion to their streaming service. So we got plenty of news for everybody. And, of course, don't forget, Ring of Honor TV. We've got to get in depth with that, kind of talk about some of the things that happened. So you don't want to miss a minute of the show. Of course, just want to let everybody know we are a part of the W2M network. If you have not subscribed yet, just one click gets you not only this show, but part 2, along with all the other shows that we do, and of course some other great ones as well. Also, go to W2Mnet.com to go get lots of awesome stuff when it comes to the world of wrestling. Lots of reading material for your eyes, and of course lots of audio for your ears. So you got all of the above for, your just as you know, our host, Gary Vaughn, and of course with me, Mr. Paul Deezer.
Heyo.
And sadly, I'm not mentioning another name, and that is because Mr. Sean Garmer, who is usually our producer and, of course, co-host, is having a few issues with his PC. So we are kind of giving this episode off because it's kind of a thing, without, sorry, I just think so. That Sean will give you this, and of course, entire episode. He just part 1. But, that's okay. We got to let things go when technical things happen. And things are getting hectic. I'm already feeling the stress. It's not that things are bad. It's just that it seems just like this first Monday, it's everything is falling down on your head. For me, at least,
The only thing I really worry about this time of year is me getting older.
Well, that's right. Your birthday is coming up, right? It is Saturday or Sunday?
It is the 25th, so it'll be Sunday.
Oh, that's right. It is actually on Christmas. I knew it was right around the time. Wow, man, that's awesome. So we'll give you. I'll go ahead and give you an early happy birthday for sure, man. But yeah, I mean that is something you always have to worry about, and that's it's something you'll have to worry about the rest of your life. It doesn't get any better. I wish I could give you some reprieve on that, man, but I can't. I have to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only turning 29. It's not like it's the end of the world yet or anything like that. But it's, I mean, you and Sean both got kids, and Christmas is so much a bigger deal when you have children to worry about and keeping the magic alive, so to speak. I can only imagine what you're doing for Lily over there this year.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty nuts. So we're like, I'm not sure if I mentioned a whole lot on the show, but doing Elf on the Shelf every night. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, but it is a little taxing because we're getting to that point of all our ideas are we've either used them or it's like, do I really want to go spend another $30 on one night?
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, how many times have we done that this week or this month? So, it's been a ton of fun, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We saw Santa Claus on Sunday. We went to the Gaylord Texan in Grapevine, Texas, and that was fun. It was cool. But we thought, man, we probably could have just went to a regular mall because it wasn't maybe not worth the whole hoopla. Mm-hmm. But you live and you learn. That's the way it works. So, well, we're having a great Christmas, and I hope everybody listening is too. We'll be, of course, jumping more into Christmas stuff on this next episode on Thursday night. Of course, Friday morning on the download for you guys. But without Sean here, we'll have to get into whatever his Christmas is going on. Of course, on that show. Let's go ahead and start this thing off. Of course, we're not going to get into all the drops and all that. We're just going to go into this smooth and start talking about some news here, Paul. Finn Balor, that's a name that honestly I think a lot of people have missed in kind of an out of sight, out of mind thing for a lot of people as well, because we've gone such a long time without mentioning his name, and especially for the casual fans, not seeing his name, not seeing his face on any of the advertisements. It's going to be a nice surprise if he does come when people are speculating, and that time is Royal Rumble. And Royal Rumble's always special because you do have those surprise entrances, and he could be a part of that. He may not. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Do you think this would be the perfect time to have him maybe make his return?
I would certainly be okay with it. I don't know if it's the best way because you could certainly work this in with everything you got going around the Universal title with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, but I mean, the Royal Rumble sells itself nowadays. Everybody loves the event. It's still my dad's favorite event to this day. Even if he's not, watching wrestling at so much of the time, he always watches the Rumble. So I'm sure there's a lot of other people who are like that too. And I mean, to have him come back there, and you could set up whatever you want if you want to go that way for the Universal title, and however they're going to do the Rumble this year. I assume they're going to do it like they used to do back in the original brand split, where the winner gets to pick the championship. But I wouldn't be opposed to it. What about you?
I don't have a problem with it at all, and I think it would be cool. My only thing about it is when you kind of get this stuff leaked, and I think it will be more leaked the closer we get to the actual event. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that Vince and some of the other people backstage are going to say, look, enough people know that this guy is coming back. Let's just throw him out there on Raw before Royal Rumble. Let's have him have a first match on Raw, the Royal Rumble, and it's already out, so no big surprise even if he was. And they've done this to us in the past where we got excited about somebody and either they did it before or they do it after the Rumble, because all the thought processes when we all, this of course didn't take place, but we all thought Daniel Bryan was going to be a part of the Rumble, and then it didn't happen and everybody was disappointed. Rey Mysterio got all the boos, things like that. You wait the entire Royal Rumble for a certain wrestler to come out, the guy that you want to come out, and he doesn't. So it kind of bums you out in a way. So I think that there's a chance that could happen again. But, I hope if they do have him come back before instead of after, because I just don't want that whole feeling during the entire Rumble. Where's Finn? Where's Finn? Where's Finn? But, I think no matter what, people are going to be excited to see him. This guy, he got hopped onto the scene so hot. I mean, just think about he won the Universal title right away. He's coming out of NXT really hot for the people that knew him from NXT. How do you think people are going to receive him coming back? Because like we were kind of talking about when he first initially came onto the scene, if you didn't watch NXT, you don't know much about this guy. Do you think he's going to be well received? Or do you think people are still like, we need to figure this guy out again?
He got over really quickly on the main roster, which I think is one of the better success stories to come out of NXT is Finn Balor. And, Lord knows where he might have been now, if the injury hadn't happened to him, right? So, I think with it being the Rumble, it being the Alamo Dome, and them trying to attract sort of that same crowd that comes to Mania and all that, I think he'll get a huge reaction if he comes out during the Rumble. The thing that concerns me the most, though, is while the Rumble isn't necessarily too big a match to bring somebody, or, too dangerous of a match is what I mean to get at, Raw supposedly has the Elimination Chamber coming back. And I don't know, I mean, if Finn comes back, you obviously have to throw him in there. And do you want to throw him into something that dangerous that quickly afterwards,
Oh man, I didn't even put that together. That is a kind of a scary thought. It really, really is, and I'm sure he's going to be ready physically to do it. But on the other hand, it's like, hey, I know you just came off serious, ACL surgery, but hey, the first event we're going to have you do in the Olympics is the high jump.
Right.
No, slow down. Let's just do some tracking, just some sprints and 40-yard dash. Let's not do all that just yet. And so I get what your point is here. You're asking him to do something very dangerous after coming off a serious injury. And on the other flip side of that, I think a lot of athletes and a lot of people would say, look, you've got to get into it. Might as well just jump in head first. You can't ease into anything because then you play scared. And you want Finn Balor to come back strong. And I think he'll be okay. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being optimistic about that. But I totally agree with you. That could be a little sketchy. I mean, I know you're saying this, but do you think WWE's thinking that same way? Do you think maybe Vince, because Vince has always looked at those little guys and kind of considered little guys as being injury prone. Do you think he would kind of shy away from putting him in that spot?
I don't think so. There's a lot of history that could go either way on this. Obviously, you brought up Daniel Bryan, who's probably the most recent example. They brought him back coming off the concussion and then put him in that ladder match for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania soon afterwards. So, I mean, there's a history here, but this is the way WWE is sort of going right now. They're signing all sorts of guys, big and small, mostly small, because I just think that's how wrestlers have sort of trended, in these last 10, 12 years. And, probably longer than that, 16, 20 now. So I think they're going to do it no matter what, especially because, Finn, you guys in the WWE are just wrestlers in general. They're usually very hard workers, and they don't want to be perceived as being weak and unable to be counted on. So whether they're having a hesitation or not, I'm sure Finn's going to do everything he can just to be like, dude, I'm ready. I can do this. Let's just go with it, and I'm sure they will.
Yeah, and I think you're right on that, totally. And I think Finn Balor is going to jump at the opportunity no matter what they ask him to do. Whether it be, Elimination Chamber or, Falls Count Anywhere hardcore match. It doesn't matter. He just wants to get it back in the ring. He does. It's sad. These situations do happen, and we had another one happen. Zack Ryder had a serious knee injury, had to have surgery. Is thought to be out 4 to 9 months. They don't know. It's in between that time period, and most likely 6 to 9 months will be the time frame that Zack Ryder will be out. And this kind of sucks for the Hype Bros because they had a lot of momentum going.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. I mean, obviously they just won that number 1 contendership Battle Royal on SmackDown last week, and so they're already going to have to go back and try to find new contenders. And I guess it would be the time for the other babyface team. If they even have one. I guess they might just throw Reiner and Slater back in there for all we know too, but obviously they have to scramble to fix all that situation. And I mean, in the big picture, it's probably not a giant problem for the WWE, but for Zack Ryder and me being a big fan of his for a long time, this really sucks. The guy deserves success, and I think the Hype Bros have something. I mean, the crowd, whenever they came out for the Rumble or the Battle Royal, was pretty excited for him. So they might have just finally started coming around on these guys, and all that momentum's right back out the window. And now you got to figure out what the heck you're going to do with Mojo, because I don't think you want to put him in the ring by himself anytime soon either.
No. Yeah, that is, a worrisome thought because, with these two guys, they've been working together for a long period of time now. Of course, it hasn't been on SmackDown for a long period of time, but it's been in NXT. And those guys in the developmental system have just really found their rhythm. They brought that over to SmackDown. And for this to just shortchange everything they've done, it is a huge bummer. Especially like a guy like Mojo Rawley, who really, I think they're interested in, they really want to see what they can get out of. But the biggest question is how can a guy that, he's got an okay personality, but he's not super over with, fans. How can you get him in a situation where he's not left alone and left kind of in the dust because, like you said, you're not going to put him in singles matches anytime soon. And if you do, that could be a disaster because I just don't know if he's ready for that. How do you think they could go about this the safest way? Because do you just want to throw with another tag team partner? Or, I don't really know the safest bet for this guy.
Here's the biggest problem. SmackDown already has a smaller roster, and they don't have a lot of bodies to begin with. And we talk about this often. But when you lose somebody like Zack Ryder, who's sort of the vet to sort of anchor Mojo down and to sort of hide his flaws, so to speak, when you lose that big part of the equation, it's not like you can have Mojo go on a Braun Strowman run because they don't really have the people to really sacrifice for it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's also, he's also not that great a worker. The only thing Mojo has for him is how infectious his energy is, because even though the dude isn't a terrific wrestler or anything like that, whenever he runs down to the ring and all that, I think that's what, he just instantly sort of draws you in with how, literally how hyped he is. So, I think he has that going for him. And if you can put together just a small babyface run for him here and there, then maybe that's what you do, or maybe you send him back to NXT for more seasoning. But I don't foresee his success on the main roster as a single star.
Yeah, I think at this point what we may be seeing more of is this guy sticking around with SmackDown and probably being a part of a lot of dark matches or being added to tag team matches, for a 3-man tag here and there. If someone needs an extra tag team partner, then there they go. Mojo Rawley's right there. Can keep his legs fresh, can keep him going, keep him involved, but yet not involving so much that you expose him. And, I think that they'll find that. I think they'll find that direction. It's just a really big bummer for him. And, not just him, but Zack Ryder, what we kind of talked about already. This guy being on the shelf for a long period of time, he's going to have to rehab and come back. And you have to hope that process goes a lot quicker. And it's not a 9-month, period that he's off. Because the longer he's away, the more people are going to, have that distance from, of course, this Hype Bros tag team, the more that they're going to kind of feign interest. And you hate to see that. Once again, like you said, they got a good reaction. You don't want people saying, wait a minute, who are these guys again? Or, you want to keep them going. So I hope the best for these two guys. And hopefully, like I said, Zack Ryder heals very quickly. I want to mention something else with WB. They are actually still signing more young ladies. That is right, because, of course, we know they're going to have this big tournament coming up here. And, of course, they have to get that roster filled up so they can get some great names in there. Let's talk about some that I kind of found interesting, and I don't know a lot about these. Now, these are names that, I'm sure you can help me more on, Paul, but, let's talk about one name, and that is Amazon Andrea, and of course I'll go ahead and throw the other one in. We also have Ruth as a part of this. I'm trying to find her first name here.
Betsy Ruth.
Betsy Ruth. Thank you so much. Who are these young ladies? I don't know much about
them. Betsy Ruth had a cup of coffee with TNA, where she was known as Rosie Lotta Love, and this is back in 2010. So I mean, other than that, in her working, she worked Japan a little bit and sort of just indies. She had an injury back in 2012 that sort of took her out of wrestling, and now she's come back with a lot less weight and all this stuff. So there's that going for her. Amazon Andrea, she's somebody, if it's the same person I'm thinking, is she works Shine and Shimmer. Big girl, sort of that same body type as Nia Jax, just a little bit thinner and a lot more geared towards working towards striking and all that stuff too. She's quite good, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what these girls can do.
That's great. And, I mean, like I said, I don't know much about them. But, just the way the WWE's going about this, they're finding talents that have, either some traits that can match some of the young ladies that they already have now. But they also have some that are, not really featured and some, maybe can add something and add a new dynamic to the women's division. And I like that. I think that they're making some good decisions here. And you got to take a chance on some people, and I think they are. I think they've shown a lot of incentive on making that division, either on the Raw or SmackDown brand. Plus, of course, in the NXT ranks are really diving in and really finding some great talent. So it's really cool. Well, let's move over and talk some TNA real quick. Let's go ahead and talk about the fact that they are trying to figure out what's going on in the future. And one of the things that they're doing is they're going to have a one night only on January 6th. So that's good news for them. They're going to have a pay-per-view for people to go check out. Kind of left in the dark on what it's going to be, the theme. But that's good news. At least they are going to have some pay-per-views going on in the near future. And another thing is that they are now finding out some of the numbers from Total Nonstop Deletion. And that's a big deal because they really felt like that they had enough draw with Broken Matt Hardy that they could get a really good viewership on their show here. The thing is, though, they drew 329,000 viewers, but previously, from the week before, they already drew 303,000. So, and not a giant jump in their ratings. How do you feel about this, Paul? I mean, is this a giant letdown? I mean, it's not like it's a bad number, equated to what they usually get, but it's just not the big giant leap that they wanted.
And I question, really how big of a number they can ever actually draw over on Pop TV. But even still, I don't think that reaches close to the highest rating they've had over there either. So, you could account it to it being Christmas season, and it's also on Thursday, and there's football on that day too. So, I mean, there might be various factors. I mean, it's also the fact that the broken stuff isn't everybody's cup of tea. You hear various opinions, not only all over the internet, but if you talk to anybody who watches wrestling, I'm sure you get multiple opinions on it. And just because we like it doesn't mean everybody else out there does. So I think that might be some of it too.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I you said it. We find it interesting. We love it. We week in and week out we laugh because they are just so crazy and cheesy and just all the stuff that I am personally. And so that's what I think is fun about it. I think on the other hand, the holidays probably has something to do with it, but let's really be honest about this. There's a lot of wrestling fans out there, no matter how cool Broken Matt Hardy is, they're not really willing to invest their time in watching TNA. They've been burned so bad by what they were seeing previously that they're not really willing to take the time out to go check out this show. And that's kind of sad, but on the other hand, you kind of understand it. So as much as Broken Matt Hardy is all over the internet and wrestling fans and the smart fans and everyone who knows about this guy, no matter how much they get involved, you got to think about this. A lot of them check out YouTube. A lot of them, find other ways to find the content, and they don't exactly tune in. So that's a big part of this. I know they were really hoping that they would get a giant audience because of the big popularity, but there's only so much you can do with social media and, of course, word of mouth. And I think this thing would have to be really blown up to a major proportion to get just giant numbers. And after actually seeing the show, I'm not willing to say that I would blame anybody if they flipped it on and then flipped it off. Because I think for how, interesting it can be and kind of was, there were some parts, too, that kind of just like, oh, this is way out there, and I hate to use the word jump the shark because I don't really know if it jumped the shark, but I just think it kind of it was a little too much. Can I say it that way? It was just a little maybe too much. And,
Yeah, I think that's been the prevailing opinion, at least across the internet. Some people really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Apocalyptico. I thought Bobby Lashley and Eddie Edwards' part was really good too. And the King Maxwell stuff at the very beginning was just a fun little distraction. I mean, it was what it was going to be within the realm of what the Broken Universe can do. And, I think for some people, 2 hours might just be a little bit too much. And that's fine.
Yeah, and, Itchweed is fine when he's on the Halloween episode, but when you got a lot of Itchweed, it's too much. So, I mean, I know a lot of people hate Willow, but I think I'd rather have Willow over Itchweed for a long period of time. But TNA, they're continuing on. They're going in the direction that I think they feel is better than they were, and we'll see. We'll have to really honestly see what happens in the near future with them. But what we do know, Paul, is that Flow Sports is continuing on in their own direction, and they just added another indie promotion to their streaming service, and that is WXW. Tell us about this promotion, and is this a good deal?
So Westside Extreme Wrestling is a promotion that runs in Germany, predominantly in Oberhausen. They have a reputation, at least their fans do, for being super rowdy. They're very loud. They're very passionate. All this other stuff. They used to run a lot of deathmatch sort of things, and they work in conjunction with CZW and Big Japan fairly often. They also run the Big 16-karat gold tournament every year, which has turned into a big tournament that people like to tune in for because it usually has a lot of great wrestling in there from all over, and from various wrestlers all over the world, sort of like Bola or what Progress is starting to establish with the Super Strong Style 16. Stuff like that. So I think this is a good get for them. They're a name promotion that a lot of people who are into independent wrestling know of, and you'll get a very different feel from everything else they've added so far, which I think matters. Not only promotions with names, but variety of style, and WXW definitely gives them something different to work with.
Yeah. Wow. So that's really interesting. I mean, I was like, I had no idea that they had so much a part of that. So that's really cool for them. And from what I'm understanding is that, WXW actually has their own streaming service. So this is an even bigger deal because they already make that money. So, I mean, that's really, really neat. I like to hear that. And, Flow Sports, I mean, if you ask me, I mean, they're going in the right direction with all the content they're adding to get money from you. I mean, to be honest, this sounds like it's getting better and better as the weeks go by. Let's also, talk about some stuff that's going on with the world of New Japan. And Wrestle Kingdom, we talked about it last week, Paul. They have some, really great matches on that card, but they had to make a few changes. Can you kind of tell us a few things about what they had to change up on this card?
Absolutely. So with the changes going on in Noah and people getting shuffled around, Toriano came out, I believe, on Twitter or something to that thing, extent, and said that he wanted to team up with somebody to challenge for the IWGP Tag Team Championship, seeing as he's a former GHC Global Honor Crown, which is the tag titles over in Noah. So he's going to team up with Tomohiro Ishii, who was originally scheduled to be in the Never Openweight 6-man tag team title scramble match that they have going on. So now the IWGP Tag Team title match is a three-way between the Guerrillas of Destiny, Great Bash Heel, and now Toriano and Tomohiro Ishii. And Jado steps in to take Ishii's role for the Chaos contingent within that 6-man tag team title match. So just a little bit of a programming change there. Honestly, I'm not a giant fan of turning that tag team match into a three-way, but I love Ishii and he'll make anything great. So,
yeah, I mean that's awesome. I mean, it's kind of interesting. They're trying to make things work, and I think that they actually did some good instead of negative, because sometimes when you have injuries or you have to make a change of plans for any reason, he sometimes suffers, and I think it'll be fine. I think they did a good job here on changing that. Something that's going to be kind of interesting, and another promotion, Lucha Underground, is that they've actually have a plan to double down on season 4 on episodes, and they're actually going to film 60 episodes this is interesting, Paul, because I mean, I get it. They're on a budget. They've got to make things work, but 60 episodes to get that all done. That sounds, wow. That sounds like a lot of work.
I think really the good news here is that El Rey is at least into all their original series. They're doing this from Dusk Till Dawn as well. So I don't know if Dusk Till Dawn will get 60 episodes, but they're trying to promote and double down on their original programming. Really, I think this is the best news, is that we can at least for now believe that Lucha Underground is going to get another season after this one, which will be great. And if we get 60 episodes out of a season, then that's even better.
Oh, for sure. And, you at least like to hear that they're actually doing episodes compared to we're cutting episodes. Because, I mean, you honestly could see that if they had any concerns about how well they were doing or anything else, of that matter. So I think this is kind of an understanding of that, they are going to be doing well next year, hopefully, and that things are going to turn out their way. So I'm really looking forward to that. So it looks like we've covered most of our big news. One last thing, though. This is kind of a funny piece of news I wanted to throw out there before we talk some Ring of Honor. Baron Corbin's been a guy that kind of walks to the beat of his own drum. And he actually won an award for it, kind of, if you want to say it that way. He won Most Medal Athlete, and that is from Revolver Magazine. And apparently, this is an award that just is based on people who do what they want, I guess, and portray themselves in a intimidating way. Triple H actually won this award in 2014, so this is not unusual for wrestlers to win. Well, what do you think about this? I mean, he is kind of metal.
Might be the only award Baron Corbin ever wins in his life. Heyo!
You may not be wrong. Well, he did win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, but you're right.
Are we counting that?
Yeah, Big Show won one too, so maybe we're not. But no, I mean, I just thought that was very interesting that this guy won the Most Medal Athlete. I mean, really, I mean, I couldn't get past. I had to mention it. So.
Yeah, I don't attribute medal with Baron Corbin. I attribute some things to him, but certainly not being metal.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out the definition when it comes to adding Baron Corbin into metal, but there you go. But anyway, well, that's our quick hits, everyone. Of course, we'll have more for you. That'll be, of course, on our next episode. But until then, we're going to go ahead and talk some Ring of Honor. And this week's Ring of Honor was actually pretty good. Had lots of interesting things taking place.
Yeah, it's the first episode, obviously, that they taped for post final battle, which was a great show as far as the wrestling goes. I don't think there was really a match on there below 3 stars, and I might still write a review for that. I don't know yet. Anyways, I was under the impression after watching the Women of Honor special last week that it was going to be best of 2016. It was not. So that's next week. So there won't be Ring of Honor for that week. But anyways, we got Kyle O'Reilly opening the show here, who talks about winning the championship and how it makes him the best wrestler on the planet, and is going to defend it with honor. Naturally, it's time for all the challengers that Ring of Honor has been lining up to come out. So Adam Cole comes out, says that Kyle shouldn't be proud of how he won the championship because it was an ODQ match and that's not what he prepared for, and calls him a joke. Dalton Castle comes out after that and says that when Adam Cole was still champion, he managed to pin him in a multi-man tag team match and that he should be the next contender. Bobby Fish comes out. He won Survival of the Fittest last year, so he's guaranteed a title shot sometime next year. And Kyle says, you know what, it's great that all you guys want to be champion. I will die for this belt, and any champion or any challenger who wants to sort of step up and try to take it from me, good luck to you. So they change around the main event after that, where it'll be Red Dragon teaming up with Dalton Castle to take on Adam Cole and the Young Bucks in a 6-man tag team later on in the evening. But to, add more pots and pans to the fire, the Decade of Excellence tournament that's been talked about, it starts tonight, and the winner of that will receive a world title match at the 15th anniversary show, which is their next pay-per-view coming up, and I think it's March or April. And the people who are participating in the tournament have all been with Ring of Honor and made their debuts with them 10 years or more ago. So the first match is Christopher Daniels taking on Mark Briscoe. It's a fun little back and forth match here. Daniels ends up going over with the Angel's Wings, and I really, really hope he's the guy who wins this, although it could very well also be Colt Cabana. But what do you think about all this so far, Gary? I know you haven't had a chance to watch this yet.
I watched this actually a little bit. I kind of watched most of this episode, and this part was kind of cool. It was very interesting because, you had all these guys come out. Of course, I love Dalton Castle says you didn't include this peacock in your conversation. Things like that. I love Dalton Castle. But, this is something that just, it screams wow because of the fact that the guys involved, super talented. All the guys here have something invested with this title. It'd be a guy like Dalton Castle who just wants to get his first win with the Ring of Honor Ring of Honor TV. I keep saying TV title. It's not the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. Why am I trying to call it the TV title? I think I'm thinking about Bobby Fish, and he's not even the champion. But Bobby Fish gets involved here. They all do a great job on the mic. They all sell this whole thing perfectly, that they want that title, that they want the World Heavyweight Championship around their waist, and I appreciate that. I think it was a good way to start the show. A lot of times when you get these talky segments, and especially with Ring of Honor, when sometimes you don't have the best people using that mic, this actually worked out really well, and a great way to start the show, especially when you are talking about following up a big pay-per-view like Final Battle. So I was completely cool with this, and I like what they're setting up here.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I kind of like how they've lined up all these challengers. It sort of at least paints the picture that at least, despite all these people that are sort of leaving Ring of Honor, even though a lot of them are the non-wrestler capacity, it still feels like they have at least a solid direction to go forward with. And I mean, the best thing I think out of all, the Dalton Castle being in the main event picture is what I'm ready to see. I think certainly the live crowd in Philly, which is where the show was taking place, was ready to see that too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm one of the biggest Dalton Castle fans, so when he gets actually into that match, and it's going to be off the chain for me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Next up, you have the Rebellion come out. They're upset still with Ring of Honor and how they've been treated, and Caprice Coleman is going to go one-on-one with Leo Rush, but they want Rush to join them. Rush tells them no. He stands for pretty much the same values that Ring of Honor does. The bell rings. Rush dodges a shoulder block attempt from Caprice. He runs him into the turnbuckles, rolls him up, and gets a quick pinfall. Rebellion jump him after the bell rings, and then Jay White and Donovan Dijak come in and make the save. So you're kind of setting up what the Motor City Machine Guns were trying to do, where you have this sort of younger generation of Ring of Honor guys sort of banding together, and it looks like they're going to have themselves a little bit of a feud with the Rebellion here.
Yeah, I mean, and I like this. I mean, you could kind of tell what they were setting up here, and, I really think that they have a good dynamic here. The guys involved are very interesting. And I got to give credit to Ring of Honor. Right now, the pairings that they're setting up, the guys that they have in certain groups or in certain situations, all just makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I love the Rebellion. All the guys involved in the Rebellion, it makes complete sense. And, of course, this whole group of Ring of Honor loyalists, they make a lot of sense too, so I appreciate that. The one interesting thing about this whole thing is Donovan Dijak and what we've seen with Prince Nana and the way he treats Donovan Dijak. I mean, it seems to me that's why they've had Prince Nana doing that, because it's going to get this guy to maybe change his path and maybe be in a babyface for the moment. And maybe it just fits this. It helps him work into this instead of just having him come and, hey, I'm a heel amongst all these baby faces, and I'm helping them while I'm facing a bunch of other heels. So I think, I don't know, Paul, am I wrong on that? It just seems like it's so interesting that all of a sudden he appears on, with the white hat on here.
So they've quietly dropped the Prince Nana thing being with Dijak. They had a blow up and sort of stuff that sort of panned out after, not Best in the World. What was it was All-Star Extravaganza. They kind of sort of pushed Nana off screen, and Dijak turned face on one of the VOD. I think it was Survival of the Fittest Night 2 over in San Antonio, where he ran in and saved the Motor City Machine Guns from getting a beat down from the Rebellion. So they've had all this sort of building up, but they've turned Dijak face since all that, even though they haven't done... and this is something Ring of Honor has struggled a lot with, whether they want to show it to you on TV, or they want you to buy VODs, or you're watching pay-per-view. They can't really get a solid direction going booking-wise, I feel like, and it's sort of made the product suffer, especially this year, where you've had ups and downs and more downs.
Yeah. No, it just sucks because of the fact that they tell good stories. It's just that maybe they need to tell it all or get at least a highlight package to tell people. So I don't know. I did miss that. I didn't miss the direction, but I missed the blow up. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I love Donovan Dijak being a part of this team with JY and all that. So it's cool. And Leo Rush, we all know how awesome he is. I think he did a good job on the mic here. I think he, handled himself well. So I was very happy to see that as well.
I think he was fine on the mic here. I mean, Caprice Coleman followed him up, and Caprice is one of the best guys on the microphone in Ring of Honor, even though this tirade he goes on at makes like absolutely no sense. But he's got such vigor and charisma on the microphone that you just can't help but either laugh or just sort of be entertained by him, and that's a lot more than some people have going for him.
I totally agree with that.
And then we move on to our main event, Adam Cole and the Young Bucks in the Bullet Club, or as they're being called now, the Super Click. Get it? Because Super Kicks and they're the Click and all that fun stuff. Take on Dalton Castle and Red Dragon. And this is a super fun match. You get a lot of triple team stuff. Some of it's very innovative and new that you don't get to see from Cole and the Young Bucks all the time. Dalton Castle and Red Dragon work very well together, and this is sort of a foreshadowing of the match they had over at PWG during the Bola weekend, where Red Dragon got to be the boys for Dalton Castle. And Kyle O'Reilly ends up making Nick Jackson tap with the armbar after he catches him after a 450 attempt. And the other guys sort of hold off the other ones for them to get the win. I was really entertained by this. I loved this the whole way through.
Yeah, see, and this is the point where I didn't get to see the entire match here, so I'm going to go back and watch it because this sounds amazing. But I mean, I like this idea of pairing them on this show and really giving the fans what they want. And with the beginning of the show, the way it was, sometimes they'll tease something and they'll give you part of it, but they don't give you the whole enchilada. And I kind of think here they kind of gave you a lot. They gave you something that you can grab onto, and then you're going to want more because I'm sure after watching this, you probably wanted to see some more. So I think that was a smart decision and an exciting main event, if you ask me, just by the way it sounds. I didn't even get a chance to see it like you did, but it sounds awesome. So.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth your time. I'd highly recommend going out and watching this one. Whether you're reviewing it or not, like we are, it's certainly worth your time.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm hoping that Ring of Honor, builds on what they've done this year. Like you said, they've had ups and downs, but I think that they've done such a great job in telling stories as of this year. For me personally, I've actually wanted to follow the stories where in the years past, they're okay, but nothing that I was just super excited about. I think it's also the fact that the quality is matching more the quantity than just well, we have one quality storyline and the rest of it's just fodder. I think that they've done a great job in telling multiple storylines and hooking you on at least, 2 or 3 of them. So, but yeah, that's Ring of Honor. We appreciate everybody for checking us out tonight. Of course, Sean will be back with us on next Thursday night's episode. Of course, that'll be part 2 of episode 226. Also, don't forget to go check out the Raw review and, of course, SmackDown Live review as well. We also, have other great content that you're not going to want to miss. So go check out the W2M Network and go subscribe for all your podcast and listening needs. And, of course, go check out W2Mnet.com to go read all the great content that we have on the site. It's really cool. Trust me, tell your friends about it. They're going to want to go find out all the great stuff we have on the website. So, besides that, we are out of here. So, for myself and Mr. Paul Leeser, Until next time, we'll see you guys down the road.
Have a good one, guys.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.